Welcome to Obscured Reality with Mark and Stephanie. From UFO sightings to the lost city of Atlantis, from alien encounters to the living dead, each episode will leave you questioning reality. If you're ready to explore the eerie, tune in to Obscured Reality, where mysteries come alive.
Welcome back, Obscured Reality, folks. We are here with a quick one tonight. Kind of an update show, quick story, an update on something. And a quick story has to do with, it plays into the whole realm of, if you're going to talk about Bigfoot, UFOs, UAPs, aliens, paranormal, any of this, and the stigma attached, personal story here. First, we're gonna have a guest on the show, hopefully next week, so we'll get that show out quickly. Ran into a bit of an issue tonight, but he should be on next week. I'm very excited. I'm not really gonna tell you much about it, but what I will say is he has a very extensive background in investigative work, which could relate to these topics at hand, especially the UAP topic now and what's been going on. And he might be able to give a look into this, and I'll go into that a little bit more in a moment. But we'll get an update from me and Stevie. I'm sure our opinions haven't changed much on things, but I'll start out with a quick story. This actually happened to me within the last 2 weeks, and this goes right along with the stigma. And you may have a personal story of your own. You may just be interested in the topic, whatever topic, and it has to do with who are you going to talk to? Mm-hmm. Some of the closest, people who should be maybe the most trusted. Well, maybe you find out they're really not on your side on anything. So the way this starts, there was no discussion of these types of topics. It had to do with something else. Maybe, I don't want to say too many things. Promote stuff. You can't promote things if you say certain words. Kind of BS on YouTube sometimes, but something completely different having to do with someone who is maybe in power and just became in power over a particular country in the last less than a year, right? And what happened was this person stated something as a fact about numerous things having to do with this person, and I've heard actually very, very intelligent people talk on the subject. And a lot of it is, I will say, seems to be things that are kind of taken out of context. And those happen to be some of the things he was mentioning. And this person was mentioning. And they stated it, though, as fact, as if they knew and they were able to verify, somehow find out this is fact. And so I posed the question. I go, well, how do you know that's a fact? And their response, and this may sound familiar, was do your own research. That response pisses me off. We've heard it with Jeremy Corbell, I think. I know for a fact we've heard it with Lou Elizondo, especially recently, once he's been starting to be called out about these BS photos he's been putting out, the mothership BS stuff. Do your own research, And now we see with people fighting back, he's starting to belittle people and kind of be rude.
Yeah.
Well, this person said, do your own research. And I go, what do you mean, do your own research? I go, you stated this as fact. So I'm legitimately curious. How do you know this is fact? And the person just jumped my shit immediately and started not berating, but, oh, you're a total conspiracy theorist, blah, blah, blah. And I just cut him off. And I go, what on earth are you talking about? Conspiracy theory? I go, I don't know if any of what you're saying is true. I'm not arguing it. I'm asking how you know, because I want to know. Number two, you said, do your own research. Tell me, how do I do my own research? Clearly, you have.
Right.
So, what can I do? And this goes to a much bigger point. The majority of the population cannot just do their own research, other than, you have time to watch the news or hopefully Google some things. And how do you know that what you're seeing, what you're reading, what you're hearing is even true, especially right now, not because of AI, but just because of all the fake crap people are putting out, and including news agencies, governments? You don't know what to believe anymore. And that
Yeah.
was my biggest point, was how do you do your own research? How do you verify that what you're reading, that you're stating as fact, is true?
Mhm.
They immediately did a 180. I'm so sorry, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I see where you're going with this. There's probably something much bigger at play here. But do your own research is a big question I'm going to have for the guest we're going to have on, because he is currently, and has been for quite some time, researching these topics. And he may be able to, hopefully, I'm not speaking for him, I don't know, I haven't talked to him about this in particular, but hopefully he may be able to shed some light on how can you do your own research in the limited amount of time that the majority of us have, because you have to have a job, because you have to have money, because you need a roof over your head, food and water, right? So you don't have the time. It's almost as if
Unfortunately.
it's, yeah, almost as if it's designed that way.
Yeah. Wow.
Conspiracy theory. I guess I'm a conspiracy theorist, and that goes on something else I've mentioned before in here. The terms conspiracy theory and conspiracy theorist. What is a conspiracy theorist? It's someone who theorizes about possible conspiracies. Think of JFK. Could it have been a conspiracy? Well, there's some things that may not add up. Maybe they do. So they look into it. That doesn't mean someone who's a conspiracy theorist is bad or woo or crazy, mentally disturbed, any of that. And
I
that's,
love the JFK shooting conspiracies. Like, those are
oh yeah.
honestly some of my favorites.
Yeah, same with Amelia Earhart. There's a ton of them,
Yeah, yeah.
including the president at the time, who she was friends with.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's the stigma that's been placed, and people use the stigma to belittle, to downgrade you, and try to shut you up. They can't handle that their truth might not be true. Same with conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory is just a theory about a possible conspiracy. Maybe it's not even possible. Who knows? But, you know, I would argue that maybe you're not a real conspiracy theorist unless it's your full time job and you're getting paid to do it and look into things to see
Right.
if certain things could have been some type of conspiracy, whether it has to do with a government or some other entity. Who knows? Um, but don't let that get you down. I immediately, because I just can't put up with people's BS anymore. I immediately, retorted back with this person, and it was like, you, I mean, I didn't say it, but it's basically like, you need to shut the fuck up. Um, Nothing about what I just said makes me a conspiracy theorist. And even if you have an interest in the topic, it doesn't make you a conspiracy theorist.
Mm-mm.
But it's the stigma that's been placed there, whether intentionally or not, another conspiracy theory. But why wouldn't we look at that as possibly a conspiracy? Because it's been long time rumored that the stigma has intentionally been placed by particular governments
Mhm.
to shut you up, to get people out of their jobs, keep people quiet. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But let your balls drop and fight back. Honestly, because
Uh,
some people have too much of a voice, and they shouldn't necessarily have a voice. Now we've heard Lou Elizondo say this from the beginning. Do your own. Hey, look, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Well, that we can't research the majority of what you're saying. It is not even really giving us much of anything, anyways. But do your own research. Um, I know you can't really do the research, so yeah, do your
yeah.
own research. So basically, you're stuck with either believing them or not,
Yeah.
because you can't research most of what he says. But even if you could, you probably don't have the time, you know. And now we see with Lou Elizondo, people calling him out. His two of those photos debunked in like 2 seconds, and him issuing apologies. And what I really hate is I think it was this most recent one that happened last month or so. Um, you know, besides him belittling people, calling everyone armchair quarterbacks on sitting on their mother's couch,
that was crazy.
yeah, in
That
their
was
mother's
in
basement, wearing
in the mother's
underwear, playing
basements.
video
Yeah,
games. One of the other things he said in that interview, he goes,
I sit in my
"Look,
own basement, motherfucker."
I admitted, we've you great people out there debunked this. You're able to verify really quickly. And it's like, um, given your alleged stature and alleged positions and alleged job that you did with this alleged ATIP group, blah, 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 you should have been the first one to not put that out with doing some research into it.
Mm.
And what I really hate about what he said was he goes, look, if this is what you need for you guys to feel better, then I apologize. And it's like, wait, I'm apologizing because it's what I think you may need to feel better. No, how about, sorry guys, I effed up. Thank you guys for looking into it and doing what I didn't do and what I should have done. I definitely should have done it, and I probably wouldn't have put it out because I probably would have found what you guys found, and I apologize for that. And that's where you leave it. No, I apologize because I think that's what you need to feel better. That's not legit. And if you feel weird about it, you should. Don't accept it at all. So hopefully, I did the person that's gonna come on the show in a week or so. I did talk to him a few days ago. Really cool guy, very smart, ridiculous history with positions and what he's done, and big asset, I think,
Yeah.
especially since he's researching this stuff right now, and it looks like and we'll get his word, but it's like he's more on the fact-driven side, possibly, and what's the truth,
Yeah. Cool.
and same with what we say,
Mm-hmm.
don't just jump to conclusions, especially if it's a full-blown non-common sense conclusion like I saw a light, it's aliens. You have no proof, no facts, no evidence that aliens life anywhere exists other than this planet. And even if it's aliens from this planet, there's still no proof of that or evidence. You can't jump to that, right? Not saying people don't have experiences. I've had one, possibly two. I know Stephanie's had some, and you got to think with a calm mind. So far, you have any comments on any of that? We're talking about, the little story I had, the guest, a few different things we talked about, stigma. Do your own research.
Everybody is so quick to defend and attack at the same time when countered, just because in this day and age, like, there is no friendly discussion anymore. So I'm not
Well, it's
surprised.
because they don't have an argument.
It's not just that, but like, well, yeah, they didn't have an argument, but just in general, people getting immediately defensive. Like, the idea of one-on-one discussion
Which
is just like
usually comes
gone.
with a lack of understanding.
Yeah, but I mean,
And
like, the
not
idea of
doing your own
having
research and having the facts.
civil conversation. Let's
Yeah.
throw that word in there for clarification. Like,
But I mean, same thing. But that's my point is usually it's someone who's, and maybe this is the wrong word to use. I'm going to say uneducated. I don't mean uneducated as in just completely not educated, but I mean maybe
uninformed.
uneducated in certain things that you might be talking about, uninformed on that particular topic, or whatever it is, and you can't say as fact if you don't know for a fact. That's a fact. We know you can look at 10 different
No,
news
I
agencies
understand what
and
you're saying.
you're
I'm
not gonna
just
believe any of
also
it.
saying that I feel like the need to defend and attack oneself when countered, even if it's not in a ill intent type of form, like you were just like, hey, would like to know where you found that out. I just feel like the way that they reacted is unfortunately more and more common because of the fact that people feel so strongly in the ways that they do these days, and like just civil discourse is gone in the way that we present ourselves to each other. But that's upsetting that that happened, and I'm sorry that it did.
Yeah,
But it is
exactly.
common, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, all too
Yeah,
often. But
really.
you know what I found out when you and again, this had nothing to do with any of these topics we really do on the show. But
Mm-hmm.
you know what I found from talking to people and just kind of nonchalantly making a comment real quick here and there about something like UAP, something like that.
Mm.
There's a lot of people who have their own stories. Is not a segue. Who have their own stories, or are
Segway.
willing to talk about it. Surprisingly, it's just the stigma. Too many people won't or don't, and that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now we know there's a UAP issue. There's something happening. Um,
Yeah.
whether there really is something in the skies going on, or whether it is some type of disinformation psyop, whatever you want to call it. Um, uh, People's imaginations. I mean, I know that's not true because of what I saw, and someone here not related to me saw it as well. What do you do? Um, yeah, so that's the most. What's up? You look like you got a comment there.
No, I don't actually. I
What?
am going over everything that you've said and just
It's a
sighing
lot.
about it. Just sighing about it because it's just like
Yeah.
the stigma. Yeah, the stigma on many things actually these days. Related to what we talk about on our podcast and other things that we don't talk about. Like it's just
Yeah.
it got me down that mental rabbit hole real fast.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry.
you know how much farther we would get as a society if people could be, would be, and were allowed to be more open about everything?
And just accept the fact that people are different. But that's very much a two-way street.
Yeah,
It's very much a two-way
of
street,
course,
unfortunately, that some people
100%.
find it to be a one-way.
Mhm.
But no, I completely agree. I really wish that people would just embrace the idea that love over fear, we're all different, and that's what makes us beautiful, and no one is better than anyone else. And if we could all just get
A lot
along.
of people can't get over that one.
No, I know.
You're not
Unfortunately,
better than anyone else.
no
A
one's
lot of
better than
people.
anyone else. Just
Yeah, you
deal
have
with
to
it.
realize, everyone comes from different culture,
Yeah.
different background, different upbringing, different parents.
Mhm.
You're all raised differently,
Mhm.
and it's no different. It's not that hard to see the the past innocence or child in someone, even a full blown career criminal who maybe they're think of someone like Jeffrey Dahmer. They're into offing people, they're into torturing, they're into eating people,
Yeah.
things like that. Like it's disgusting, it's horrible. But if you sit back for a second and think about it, I'm not condoning him or what he did, but to sit back and think about it for a second, it's kind of sad because you can easily think back to when this kid was a child. um how the hell was he brought up? I'm
I'm
sure
pretty
his
sure
parents
he was
didn't.
abused.
Well, right, but I'm
Yeah.
sure his parents didn't teach him to do those things, right? So what happened? And then you think
Mm.
there had to be some points in that childhood that were good, and I'm not just him, but anyone, um,
Yeah.
and look at the people on the streets, say in Los Angeles right now, doing the rioting, blah blah blah, and all that crap, right? It's not the majority; it's only the few, and there's probably paid plants in there starting to have this. We've been able to prove that in the last few years that that's been happening. But even if they're not paid plants, like eh, you got to look at their upbringing too, and that doesn't mean you need to put down another society for that society's lack of common decency. But the stuff's there, and you look into it. You look into a person, and it's like, man, where did it go wrong as a child, or was it even as a child? Was it teenager? Was it a little older?
Yeah. What
More
was the
likely not.
catalytic turning point that
Yeah,
was like subconsciously, this is how the projection's going to be from here on out?
Yeah.
it's very interesting.
And
But
it's sad. And
yeah, it is sad. But at the same time, serial killers, stuff like that. There's still, even though we hear about it all, not so much serial killers, but bad people in general. Even though we hear about it all the fucking time in the
well,
news,
you hear that?
there's
Did you hear about the guy
less.
recently with his 3 daughters?
Yes, I have.
That's ridiculous. But it's like
But
he's
those
probably
people are
not
still so much
ultimately.
more of a smaller percentage of our
Yeah,
population that like, even if the rest of us just embrace the core idea of loving thy neighbor con fucking sept, uh like, I don't know, I agree the world would just be a hell of a lot better. I mean, there's nothing like, there's always going to be the ones that just aren't right.
yeah.
It sometimes maybe, like, with a couple of them, it may not have even have been something in their upbringing or a catalytic event that made them like that. Like, there are just badly bred people. I hate to say it
Yeah.
like that, but
Yeah, I mean it happens, You might be able to look back in the genetic line and see
that
where there
part.
was some issues and over time with
Branches, not
generations gets worse.
trunks,
Yeah,
not branches.
I've seen it myself with someone
Oh,
I was in a
Lord.
relationship with a long time ago, and their personality, it was like, "Oh my god." And then you look at that person's mother, kind of the same way, but not to the same extent. It was to a lesser degree.
Mm.
And then you look at that person's mother, who's a grandma to the person I was in a relationship with, and what do you see? The exact same thing. And it's like you see it getting worse and
Worse
worse
and worse.
and worse and worse.
Yeah. And that's what
you
everyone's
know?
talking about, generational curses and like breaking them and shit. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that, there's an awareness to it now, but
Yeah. And you grow up, and at some point, you got to realize, hopefully, that, hey, I mean, I think most of us have had this happen where it's, like, oh, well, I'm not going to do that like my parents did, or my mom did, or
Mhm.
my dad did, or whomever. Um, and it's when you hit that moment, you are recognizing a possible issue. And if you're not happy with that, by all means, do what you can to change it. And you know what? It's not as hard as it seems at the time. And then once you do it, you're like, Jesus Christ, why didn't I do this 10 years ago? That wasn't that hard,
Yeah.
but it seems hard in the moment. And I
Mm.
get that.
Change
So,
is scary and difficult, and not everyone is for it.
yeah, yeah. So current events. I'm assuming your opinions change on nothing. UAPs, the current
Nah.
UAP topic, aliens, Bigfoot, paranormal. Any changes? Any comments?
No,
No.
I've been watching a lot of Ghost Adventures lately. Like,
Ah,
not like the newer seasons, but like the older seasons with Nick.
Zach Laggins.
Yeah. Oh my god. I saw a TikTok of this kid when
Ugh,
he was still super skinny and like wore glasses, and he was on Wheel of Fortune with his sister.
who? Zach Baggins? Or are you talking about him?
Yes.
Oh.
It's so funny. And so that's what got me back. It's hilarious. I fucking was crying. I'll have to find it.
Almost makes you think he's been into the whole acting thing for a long
Oh
time.
wow, look at that. The fact that
'Cause
he
you don't
looks
just get on those
younger,
game shows.
the fact that he looks younger at 50 than he did at my age is wild. But anyways, so that got me
Yeah,
back onto
they're supposed
watching
to
some
get
of the
healthy and
original
working out.
episodes of Ghost Adventures. So now I've just
Yeah.
been kind of stuck on shit like that, and
Well,
so I don't know. Hopefully, I'll have
the
some paranormal stories for you soon.
The new season of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch started a week or so ago. FYI, that
Yes.
is out now. You know,
And
watch it, but be skeptical. And let's talk
yes.
about that for a second. Because talking about opinions now, have we changed on anything? I'm starting to change on Skinwalker Ranch. I've trusted Brandon Fugel, the current owner of Skinwalker Ranch, and what he's said. He's explicitly come out in interviews and he has said, look, They approached about the show. I told them I did not want any money from them. He's like, I pay for like 95% of the show, or the show, what we do at the ranch, not the show. I pay for what we do at the ranch. He goes, there are from time to times they will pay for something. They'll bring in a particular group to do certain studies or
Mm.
whatever. He goes, but that aside, he's like, I pay for everything. We don't take money from them, blah, 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 blah. And then here's the thing. How do you even know if that's true? I mean, this guy's a millionaire. He's got money. How
Mhm.
would you even know if anything he was bringing in was from it? How
You
would you even
don't.
be able to
You
verify it?
don't.
You know?
You
And
can't.
here's the other thing, and this is something that our guest might bring up, or mention
Mm.
if we bring it up. And he's completely right. You look at who owned it before him was Robert Bigelow, right? And I think a program was called OSAP, and they were given 20 grand. I think it was 20,000 or 20 million by Harry Reid was able
Good
to
God.
get the funding for them to do that. And he was brought in by Harry Reid, and it was like one of those programs where they kept it quiet that it was opening so people could apply to do all this BS. And he his group has some major claims. They've never turned over any evidence of any of it. But prior to that, there was the couple that owned it for, I want to say it was a year or 2 years or something like that. Oh man, their name is slipping me. Our guest will know it. Um, and they're
Hmm.
like, boom, experiences, get rid of it. But prior to that, the previous owners owned it for decades. There was never a story of anything happening there. And, so I'm at the point with Skinwalker Ranch. I've changed where I'm not holding the same amount of value in Brandon Fugel and his word at this point.
Hmm.
And if they do not start digging into the mesa where they have all of this alleged evidence, which
Oh
you
my
see in the show,
God.
that
The
there is a
Mesa.
possible object, something in there that's approximately 400 feet long or so.
Yep.
They're pulling out metal fragments in the new episode. They are when they're drilling. They pull out something they refer to as
The way you feel right now about this show is how I have felt about The Curse of Oak Island for fucking 8
yeah,
seasons
yeah.
now. Like, dig! Dig!
Well, yeah.
But it's a
I
money
I do
thing and it's a law thing and I get
I do
it,
see
but
Oak Island
mm,
is a little different, just because I've watched some of that in the past, and I see those 2 guys, and there's something about, I wanna say at least one of them,
uh
I'm just like, "Yeah, I don't know, man." But, you know
I feel more strongly about The Curse of Oak Island actually having something than Skinwalker Ranch, to be honest, because
Yeah.
but at the same time, like I think I have to jump in at season 2 because I've tried so hard multiple times to watch season 1 and I cannot get over some of the
Well,
bad, like
look,
it's badly written, it's
here's the
badly
first thing,
acted, and some of the
where
guys are
they're
just
digging where they're digging and they're saying, "Oh, these guys way back when were able to go down in there and build these intricate," think of, oh, Jesus Christ, Indiana Jones
mhm,
movies, right? They're able to go down and dig this intricate thing with these fail safes. So if someone goes in, it implodes and blah 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 blah. It's like, well, then how the hell would they have gotten in there? But when
mhm,
they want to come back to get their crap, their loot, um, and you think like this is all underwater, like where they're digging is on the island, but I mean, it's just surrounded by water.
mhm,
So the ground underneath is saturated. You're telling me that our current day technology, these guys with money are having major issues
mhm.
doing this, but however many years ago, what, 100, 200, 300, however many
So
years ago,
because like
not the
apparently
full background.
right, I mean, I get it, but they're not the first to try to get to it, and supposedly because other groups have failed so badly and fucked up the shaft that it's all collapsed, and so they're trying to like dig through all
Yeah,
of that and blah. I don't know.
sure,
That's
maybe, but what I'm saying is the people who originally were supposed to
yeah.
have
I don't
buried this
know.
stuff there, like they had the technology to be able to, without the heavy machinery and stuff, to be able to get down into that massively saturated ground
and
and
that
bury
deep
this
too.
stuff so far down,
That's
blah
fair.
blah
That is
blah.
questionable.
No, I don't see it. But back to Skinwalker,
Yeah.
these the previous owners, not Bigelow, not the
The
couple before
original.
him, but the original ones that
Yes.
were forever, they had no issues. So
Imagine that.
if Fugel and his team do not start actually digging into the mesa this season and come up with something, regardless of what that something is, but if what they're saying is true, that they're actually pulling these fragments out, it's metal, it's stuff that shouldn't be there. They just pulled a piece out. Yeah, I forgot the term they use for it. I don't know why this slipped me, but it's a comment. It looks like something from something that is probably fabricated by humans, and it's got this cross hatching lines on it.
It looks like something. What that you said something like twice,
Yeah,
and like
I
my
don't know
brain
word
just
for
kind
it.
of like froze on it. It's a
No, it's
plumbus.
just a
That's
piece
what
of
you're talking
material.
about.
Just a piece of material.
Okay.
And they did take it somewhere to have it looked at,
Mhm.
and the person looking at it, science at a university, it was like, this definitely looks man-made. So now they're really questioning what's in there. And to me, now I'm looking at that like, well, are they trying to lead up to something? And you look at part of that mesa and the way it's come down, man, it really kind of looks as if a lot of that stuff was placed there. A lot of that ground, those rocks, those boulders going up the mesa, it looks like a lot of that was placed there.
Really?
That
Okay.
doesn't look, yeah. I'll if I can find a picture while I'm talking, I'll show you real quick what I
Mhm.
mean. Um, and I'll admit I could be wrong. I'm not saying it was placed there, but I've noticed this from beginning, um, especially since they're saying, they're allegedly finding issues with the Mesa.
Mhm.
Um, it really looks like a lot of that isn't natural. And when I say natural, it would have had to have fallen because it's all broken up rocks and boulders and stuff.
Mhm.
I don't know. But if they don't start digging, actual digging, not drilling, but look, here's the thing. This guy's got money, right?
Mhm.
So if he wants to hide what he's doing so people can't see from drones from the outside, military, whatever, because allegedly the military's spying on them out there, um, he
Military
could
spying on
easily
everybody.
he could easily map out with the ground penetrating equipment they have that they've been using exactly where this thing is. They could have a company come out and build into the mesa a massive shade just for cover. So satellites can't see, helicopters, airplanes can't see, drones can't see, and they could go in there with some heavy equipment and start digging. If it's on his land, he can do what he wants. Um, it is what it is, and
That
it's
sounds
not that
expensive
far
as
in.
fuck.
It's not that far in. It's not that deep. They could do it easily with like two pieces of equipment. And you start in a circle, like a mine, and go
Mhm.
down. It wouldn't be that difficult. They could do it. If he doesn't do it, I'm out. I'll still watch it because it's interesting, but I won't hold the same amount of faith and trust in this person and his group.
Like you
Um,
used to. I
yeah.
completely understand that. Yeah.
Have you been watching any of it?
Nope.
None of it. You haven't started first season.
Oh no, like I said earlier, I have tried multiple times to start it. It's just maybe it's because they're super awkward if the camera's around, but it sounds
Mhm.
horribly scripted. The security guy is just, I don't know.
Yeah, he's weird.
He really just makes it unwatchable for me.
Dragon. Well, they've been friends for a long
I
time,
get
and
that, but
he's
like,
like,
bro, your name is Dragon. Bro, your name is
yeah,
Dragon. Like, I can't take you seriously at this point. Like,
yeah.
and just the way that he acts in general is just really like weird. So I don't know. It's a hard pass for me on the first season. I will try to get into the second season, but at the same time, I'm really kind of binging hard on my destination like shows with Josh Gates and my ghost show, so I can find content for another
Yeah.
episode.
Well, while she's talking, I'm trying to find a good photo of what I'm talking about
I have bad
here.
writer's block, y'all, so if you have any ideas as to like shows that you want to see me do or some topic that you would like to see me investigate or shed some light on, please let me know. Drop it in the comments. Looking for paranormal, civilization, I mean, shit, crop circles. Obviously, my cousin, he does all the UAP, Bigfoot stuff. I would like to branch out from that. So if you guys have any ideas, let me know.
It's only because it's been a current event.
I
It's not by
know.
choice.
I know. You hit the current events. I'll pop in once in a while with a like, hey, break from the news. Let's go back in history for a little bit. So, but yeah.
Well, I'm gonna share my screen right
Please do.
now. This so far, this is what I could find. I need to find a better one, but there's a whole side of this mesa that's just all big, nasty boulders coming down, and they've done some testing in these boulders where they've found some issues, things like that. And one of the things they did earlier on is they were throwing these smoke canisters down there with colored smoke,
Yeah.
and because they were feeling drafts, things like that. And they're like, why are we feeling drafts from under here? And there's a particular part where, they put one in and they see where it's laying on the ground down below the boulders. And, you can see it on the camera way down there, and none of the smoke comes out.
Okay.
Or maybe it's coming out somewhere else. Things like that. Pretty interesting. They've done some stuff where they've dumped some stuff into, I want to say into the water or into the ground, something along there, and that's come out different spots, something weird like that.
Dyed the water?
Yeah, I'm not
I
100%.
would say that makes sense.
I forgot, but
Scientists do
something
that.
along those lines. Here's it's no longer sharing.
Nope.
That's all right. It didn't really pull up a picture. But that's what I mean.
I understand.
The side of that mesa is just all these massive boulders. But when you look at here, let me share again. I bring this up right now.
Right now.
So this is obviously in focus on Brandon Fugel. But if you look in the background, you can see some areas up there where you could get some rocks like that. But just look at that ground compared to that massive boulder field we saw. And when you see some really good pictures of it and you see it on the show, that's one of the first things that came to my mind was that just doesn't look like natural placement. It's making these photos bigger. It shouldn't be a big deal. Here's a good one. Now, this definitely goes against what I'm saying, but like I said, I could be wrong. Let me share it right now. Right now.
Right now.
This does not look like the particular area of boulders that I'm referring to, where they've done some of these tests and whatnot. This looks definitely natural. The top layers shearing off, breaking off, and boom, going down. Yeah, totally get it. But that's not the area I'm referring to. Does not look like this.
Yeah.
And that's why I question that. So yeah, they're gonna lose me trust wise if they don't start digging. And
Heard.
Because if they don't, the only thing I see out of it if they don't is that they're just trying to prolong a show. And then that makes me question if Fugel and his team are really getting paid or not, if they're getting money from the show. Here's a much, I think, better picture. Here, let me share this right now. I don't want to do this to me right now.
Right now.
So you're going to look at this one on the right here. I can see some probably natural. Yeah. And like I said, I could be wrong. There's you got to look at the whole side of the mesa, though, and it just doesn't seem right. Now, maybe it's just me. It just, those boulders don't match with the ground texture that's there. In this photo, they kind of do. I'm not going to lie. So, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I haven't really changed much on any of the topics.
I
Something
haven't.
like Skinwalker Ranch, obviously, I have. The whole UAP thing, actually, I think I have changed to an extent. I no longer place any trust, faith, or much respect at all into Lou Elizondo, which in turn brings that trust level down in the UAP topic and what's really going on and what these people are really trying to achieve. And
Yeah.
I've never had much trust in Jeremy Corbell. He comes off as a crying little whiny baby, especially after the last congressional hearing where he threw a fit and pulled the BS on the phone with Michael Schellenberger afterwards, and you could hear in Schellenberger's voice he was like, "Yeah, I don't really agree with what you're saying, but yeah, you handed him the documents, but they came from me. Like, what, And I don't have much faith in any of it because there's something going on. I know there's something going on. I've seen it. Doesn't mean it's aliens, guys. Who the hell knows? But we're not going to get anywhere with people like this. We also know the revelations came out about Stephen Greer, the Vero Beach CE5 event where they summon UFOs, and oh, look, there they are out over the ocean. And then, as Lou Elizondo says, an armchair quarterback on his mother's couch in his basement did the research because he was able to and found a small Cessna style plane that took off from a nearby airport and flew that exact route where those lights were seen at the same time, most likely dropping right.
Flares. Yep.
So, there's not much faith in any of this anymore, and I see why a lot of people are dropping out. And calling BS on them, and good, you should fight back because Lou Elizondo, he's never claimed to be a whistleblower. To my knowledge, I've only heard him mention the word once. He's never claimed to be. It's other people claiming he is. He's not a whistleblower. He hasn't told you anything that he couldn't legally tell you. And that is also a red flag. Why is everything he's saying okay when he says, I have to get it passed through the Pentagon or whoever he passes it through to say, can I come out with this? And they say, oh yeah, you're approved. Why would they ever have approved him to out their program ATIP or the term UAP? Sure, it's not classified, but clearly they didn't want us to know they were using UAP instead of UFO. Right?
Yeah.
They didn't want us to know about this program. Why would they have said, okay, you can talk about it?
Yeah, they don't.
No wonder people think you're a plant. No wonder people think you're a disinformation operative here.
Yeah.
Stop belittling people and come clean or don't. And if you're pissed off because you're going to stop getting paid, too bad.
So sad.
Yeah.
Well.
So, yeah, I look forward next week's.
Yes.
We will be recording next week, hopefully with this guest. I'm excited.
Yes.
The episode should come out that Friday.
I'm so excited.
So, yeah. So what's today? Today's Monday.
Yep.
Yeah. So hopefully a week from today we'll be recording, and then that Friday we'll be putting that out. That will be awesome. As we mentioned earlier, so many of you have your own stories and experiences. If you do, send us an email, obscuredr1@gmail.com. It's right there. It's been there almost the entire time. Type story in the subject line so we know what it is. Tell us your story. We'll tell it for you on here anonymously if you wish. Totally fine. If you want to be on the show, that's possible and easy for you to do. Let us know in the email, and we can work that out very easily. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. And with that, any parting words, Stevie?
Good night.
Oh, she's ready for bed. So am I. Peace.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check back with us often for new episodes. Feel free to drop a comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Obscured Reality.